Welcome to Friendship Shelter. Come on in.
Thank you. What is your name?
Taylor Matheson.
My name is Deborah Davis.
Want my full name?
Yes.
It's Kelly Matthew Cove.
My name is Tina Tree.
When was the Friendship Shelter established?
1988.
How long have you worked here?
I've worked here for 3 years and a couple of months.
How old were you when you came to the shelter?
55.
How old were you when you left?
56.
How old are you?
45.
How old were you when you entered the shelter?
45. I've been here since January 13th.
What age did you become homeless?
The first time, 42, after my second divorce. Economically was challenging. My families, like you were saying before, hard time. Always lived in homes before then. I'm 53 now, so it's just the last 11 years have been really tough on me.
What made you want to work here and why?
I wanted to work for an organization that I felt passionate about the mission, and the mission here is to help homeless adults achieve self-sufficiency and become productive members of society. So I felt passionate about that mission and I wanted to contribute.
Why were you homeless?
I quit doing drugs and I came back from New York, and I was 55 and my family had families of their own, and I had been gone 20 years and I just didn't have anywhere to go.
Became homeless, I'd have to say probably because I was using drugs and drinking alcohol for a long period of time, and then it just slowly went downhill. It slowly became more difficult to function life and take care of things in my community.
What do you do outside of the shelter?
I'm under the care of a mental health agency right now. I have a psychiatrist, and I was volunteering in the thrift store there, coordinating help clothing and furniture and things, because as a child, I was told I was a child actress and a model, and I soap opera star in the 70s, and I went to work for Nordstrom from there. So for 27 years I worked for Nordstrom, and then at my second divorce, things, as I said, became rough, and I still worked off and on these last 11 years. It's only been this last 2.5 I don't work. So the way the shelter works, the way friendship works, is if you don't have a job, then you have to do some form of volunteer work to qualify for the other services, because everything has its policies. Just like here we have meetings that we have to attend. So with the mental health agency, I had to either have a job or volunteer, and I can't be volunteering as a job for that. But now they want me, like I was telling you, I went back to college in between all of this. And I'm a political science major. I have an intent to become a lawyer. So what they're going to do now is substitute the work in the thrift store for one college class to pay, because I still have to finish my bachelor's degree. That's pretty much what I do. And we have a lot of things they give us goals, go to the doctor. We have what's called a case manager. In fact, my case manager is Jenny, and if you wanted to talk to her later, they set up the goals for us. And if we don't do what they tell us, then we can't stay. Like one of the ones yesterday and today was I had to straighten my room because I love clothes. I used to be a model and actress, so clothes are like my weakness. But I don't drink or smoke or take drugs, so I don't have those types of meetings. Go to some of the other residents do, so that takes up quite a bit of their time.
What does the shelter provide for people who come here?
We provide a bed and a closet, breakfast, lunch, and dinner, clothing and toiletries as needed, full case management services, and access to nurses and psychiatrists and counselors if they need it. Case management is basically, the case manager is basically their partner through the whole process, somebody to develop a plan with goals and milestones, how much money they need to save, where they're going to get a job, what the next step is for them, and if they have any legal issues they need to take care of or personal problems, things like that. Just a partner through the whole process to make sure they're on track.
How does it feel to not live in the streets?
It feels great. It's nice to have a bed to come and sleep in, have a roof over your head, and not have to be depending on hustle and bustle and trying to figure out what to stay for the night.
Do you enjoy living by the beach?
Well, as I think I was mentioning before, but Misty Monday, that's our name, so cute. I raised my children in the Laguna, and my father was in the Navy. He was one of the first Navy SEALs, and I worked for him and taught me how to swim here. So I've been part of the Laguna Beach since I've been 2. I'm 53, so like 51 years. So I've been here off and on, but as far as the shelter goes, I mean, this used to be an estate. In 1922, when it was first built, and my family owned it for a few years in the 50s. And then the recession in the 50s hit, and they sold it for a very long time. I vaguely remember it as a little kid. My dad built the shelves and stuff. So I've been part of the beach scene my whole life, so yes, I do appreciate it. But some of the other residents, like if you interview them, like first time I remember, what? You know, they look out at the ocean, they don't realize, it's right on the beach. So it's really neat. But yes, I do. I love the ocean.
What is your hobby?
My hobby, I have several of them. I like surfing is my main one, sailing, hiking, stand-up paddleboarding, skateboarding, cliff diving too.
Nice.
Do you volunteer here?
Yes, for the last 3 years. 6 months after I left here, I started volunteering, and I answer the phones on Tuesdays and Wednesdays, and help the staff in any way I can.
What are your plans for when you leave the shelter?
Well, I have my housing certificate for Shelter Plus, nobody's taken it yet. I want to, it qualifies you for up to $13.50 a month when living apartment. And like I said, I will still come back here sometimes and see these guys, and if they want me to volunteer in the future, I would like to do that. According to my other psychiatrist and my other counselor that helps me, they want me to finish my college degree so that I can't do a full-time status student with that. So, but then beyond that, obviously, I was telling you I have 3 beautiful children, and I'm calling the women that want to live like we did, but not because I did, just because economic problems and everything. They're back east, they're in Australia. So I try to go back there and I can afford to go back there. And Mother's Day is coming up, so at some point I hope they can come and visit me, or maybe if I ever get enough funds together, I can go back and visit them for a while. But right now, financially, I just don't have the means to do that.
How was your life like before you came to the shelter?
Pretty bad. It was chaotic. It was not good at all. Like I said, it was on the streets. I had a lot of hard times finding places to live, and just it's pretty much convenience. Life wasn't good.
Have you ever gotten attached to anyone living here? If so, explain.
Yes, a lot of the residents are very personable, and of course you form friendships and relationships with some of the residents. I'd say a couple of them, I would say that we had friendships, and why? Just because we have common interests and sort of help them along and give them motivation or goals and encouragement.
Are you close to anyone in the shelter?
I'm relatively close to some of the staff members like Taylor. I'm very close to Don Price and Mark Miller, the director and assistant director, and my Jane, my case manager. My psychiatrist and counselor said not to get too close to the residents just because it's, they go and a lot of times they don't come back, or they don't want to, it's hard to explain. It's a really good place, but yeah, once they go on, and I've had a couple of real good friends that left and they didn't come back, and it just devastated me. So, not as close as I was. There's a girl named Tamara that's a hairstylist, but she's one of my good friends. I have a friend, Robert, and RC's, he just went up the door. He's really nice. I have a friend, Robert, and Michael, who came from this place called ASL, that friendship along with the city council, we're going to beach also. And they came over, but they're both ready to go pretty soon. So that's, the thing about this situation is, at least in my case, I don't have a lot of economic discretionary income. I have very limited income, so it will be hard for me to keep contact with anybody when I leave anyway. I don't have a car right now.
Do you have friends here?
I do have quite a few friends. More than I want to sometimes.
What staff member helped you out the most?
My case manager, all of them did actually. They were very nice to me. At that time, it was a 90-day program, and I was there for almost 7 months. And while I was waiting for my benefits and housing and all that, they let me stay and found things for me to do and helped me get adjusted to my medication. And everybody on staff was wonderful. I didn't really have any big favorite. Everybody.
Yeah. That's a hard one, because they all have. They're all very helpful here, every one of them. But I would have to say, other than my case manager, who was Sarah, she helped me pretty much. She was the most contact I had with somebody here and discussing my issues and things like that. I've been sober now for 1 year, 1 month, and 6 days.
What was your worst experience with one of the people here?
I would say most of them that come to mind are issues that involve drugs, when people are using while they're here, which is not very often, but sometimes people relapse and slip up, and some interesting things can happen. People aren't very cooperative in that state, so just doing drug tests and kind of getting them to either leave or do what we want them to while they're under the influences, kind of.
Do you think it's more difficult to find a job while being homeless?
I'll tell you one thing I've noticed. It tends to be, at least from my experience of my own statements, it seems to have been a little bit easier for the men. Because a lot of the women right now are kind of middle aged. I'm 53, almost 54. There's quite a few of us in our mid-40s and through, early 60s. And it has seemed very difficult. Like, that's part of the reason they had me go to counseling, because I worked for nursing for 27 years, and I couldn't get a job for 2 years. I was on unemployment. I tried renting rooms, and you're so vulnerable with that because I'm not married or anything, and you have to fill out a financial statement when you're renting a room, and you don't have the protection. That's the one good thing about this, is when you leave, you're kind of protected. You have somebody behind you. Like Taylor does all of the volunteer services for the shelter, so they go through her. So even the volunteers, which we appreciate, but she kind of screens them, and you feel protected. Like, because I kind of went through this for 2 or 3 years on my own, trying to rent rooms, and that's the one good point about it. And I'm sorry, I'm trying to answer them as best as I can.
What do you plan on doing after you leave the shelter?
Well, at the moment, I guess, like I said, one of my hobbies is cliff diving. I injured my neck. I hit the bottom real hard. So right now, I'm focusing on kind of getting better, and I would like to maybe start a jewelry business. So I think kind of do second jewelry instead of making jewelry. So it's kind of where I want to go.
How long have you been doing that?
Off and on for about a year or two.
I have a joke. Maybe you kids can do this. I want somebody to do a series called Only in California, because in California, at least Southern California, all the rich people and poor people look alike, and you don't see their $50,000 Rolexes, their $100,000 cars, their $10 million houses. We all have the same clothes on because they donate all the clothes for us.
Would you recommend the Friendship Shelter for other people?
I think it's a marvelous program. I don't know what I would have done without it. I'm eternally grateful.
What ways did it help you?
Just being supportive and taking time to counsel. There are many, many, many ways. Many ways. They gave me more of a sense of well-being, letting me, I used to make breakfast for everybody, lunches, give me a more of a feeling of self.
Like made you to like you're not like it's you now, and that you're not like out there alone. That you have support.
Right. Sorry.
32 men and women that stay here for an average of 90 days. And we provide housing, breakfast, lunch, and dinner. And I'll show you an example of our room. This is a men's room, and there are 4 beds in here. Some of our rooms only have 2, but everyone shares with at least one other person. And everybody gets a bed and a nightstand and a closet. Oh, nice. Yeah. Residents are required to keep their beds nice and neat and keep all their belongings tucked away. There is a curfew every night at 10:15, I believe. The men live on the bottom floor and the women live on the top floor. This is the residents' kitchen. So this is a community area where they can eat food, do their dishes, put their name on personal food items and put it in the fridge. The same goes with the patios. Patios are for men and women for smoking and eating. This is our dining room. We have mealtime here. Dinner, breakfast, lunch, and dinner. And 32 people cannot fit around this table, so we have room outside to eat as well. Here's our volunteer kitchen. So every night we have a different volunteer group that comes in and cooks for us. We have a little bit of a library here for residents who want to read. So this is the women's restroom, also dormitory style. Here's an example of a women's room. Only 2 in there, but like I said, everyone shares with at least one other person. This is our donation room, so donors can drop off clothes or canned goods or dishes.